Life isn't perfect, and neither are we.
Nope. But we know how to face our fears
And have some fun.
and talk about all the messiest things of life.
Like the messiest things.
Get connected to yourself, get connected to others, and get connected to the life right in front of you.
This is The Connected Life with Justin and Abby.
That's me.
That's you.
And you.
Hey, Connected Life peeps. We're here again today with our friend Bryant. Last week, we kicked off an episode all about dating. Bryant jumped into asking us questions and actually had some pretty good insight into it.
Yes.
Now that
Actually.
After
Shocking.
being married a whole year, it looks like it worked for him.
It worked for him.
But we're going to jump into this conversation again here today. It's going to be part 2 of the conversation we recorded last week. And I just love getting to sit down with you and hear what you have to say about stuff, actually, because you're a really brilliant mind.
Oh, it's so easy to talk to you guys. You guys have so much wisdom, and it was so fun. I'm excited for this part 2 for everyone.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's kick it off.
All right, here goes.
So let's fast forward just a little bit.
Right.
So you go on the dating journey. Maybe you found somebody you really like,
Mm-hmm.
or you go on 1 or 2 dates.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of going into the mid-level. So you're not going on just a bunch of first dates, or you're not just DMing people, but you've met someone you kind of like and you're starting to get to know them. I want to talk about red flags. I want to talk about settling versus having boundaries and what that world looks like, because in the whole world of swiping, you become addicted to finding the perfect person or exactly what you want. And then you're having a face-to-face human connection with somebody.
Right.
And I see a lot of people get trapped in this perfection. Maybe they have this expectation for themselves and they're projecting it onto the person, and they're future tripping over every little thing that person does and being like, I couldn't raise kids with this person.
Yes.
That's a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, so what red flags are deal breakers and what red flags are like, oh, let's explore more about this.
Yes.
Let's have dialogue about this.
Well, copious dick pics right off the bat.
Yeah.
This is huge red flag.
Red flag.
Red, not green.
I was thinking that one of the most important things in understanding this phase of dating is understanding your nervous system and your body and what it's doing. So when you are in the beginning stage of a relationship, they are not a secure attachment. They're not a secure connection. So you're constantly in threat. You're constantly not knowing, are they going to choose me or not? Which means you have a lot of your self-protective mechanisms up. You have a lot of nervous energy, behavior. And so I try to remind people, you're not going to see their most authentic self.
That's good.
In the first however many months. I say it takes at least 3 months of consistent dating before you start to see somebody, because we're trying to perform. We're trying, even if it's fun and funny and they feel it's so comfortable in their own skin, there's still part of them that is on and trying to get your attention or off. Like some people have coping mechanisms where when the pressure's on, they like shine. They're like, I got this. Let me wow you. And those are like great first dates. Other people, when the pressure's on, kind of like get inward or get more shy or get more. And so I have this friend, she went on a first date with this guy and he talked the whole time. And she didn't say anything, which is that'd be a red flag if that's in a relationship. That'd be very unhealthy. But she went on a few dates with him, and they had a date where they both drank wine, just a little bit. I'm not advocating for alcoholism here, but he calmed down a little bit, and then he talked a normal amount and asked her questions, and then she got over her nerves, and so she started talking more. And then they ended up falling in love. They got married, and they had a very equal conversation model in their relationship.
Wow.
But in the very beginning, he was so locked up and nervous around her that it just, so I think it's a hard thing to figure out. You're not going to be your best version, possibly, and they might not be their best version. So if we can just keep that in remembrance, the first few months, we have so much performance anxiety, so many power battles and fears and triggers from our past relationships, that if you can just kind of have compassion on yourself and others and give a little bit of space to learn and really get to see, is this who they are?
I think one thing that's really good. I think one thing that's necessary is understanding our own core value system that we have. So I have some core values that I operate out of. And one of the things when it came to Abby and I dating is I had a core value that the person across from me was committed to discovering what love looked like. I'm not talking about romantic love. I'm talking about how do you love people well? And inside of that, when I was dating people prior to her, I could tell that that wasn't a priority for them. They weren't asking the question, how do I love well? Which that doesn't have to be everyone's value system. I'm just saying, like, for me, I was looking at that as one aspect. And I had a handful of those. Like, there's other details that people can have in their lives that it's just the way that they express themselves, but it doesn't violate a core value system. So one of it is going into these dating situations, do I know me? And do I know what's at my core? Would you agree with that? Or what do you think about core values?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's definitely core values I have that would instantly, I think about, like, if I was around somebody and they were really rude to everybody that we were interacting
the waiters and stuff like that, I'd be like, oh, they don't treat humanity well. That, for me, that's a red flag, because I need to be with someone that humanizes people and treats people with honor and respect.
Could I ask a question about that then?
Yeah.
Because that brings another topic of making judgments at your partner before understanding the full picture.
Totally.
And I see people do this a lot on dating apps or social media where they're talking about it was a red flag. So I fully agree with you. If I'm at dinner with somebody on a date and the server's like, oh, would you like this? And she's like, wait a second, I'm looking. Or she's snappy or rude. My instant thought would go, she's rude to servers, or she's rude to staff. She's entitled. She's this. Or like your friend, if she talks the entire time and doesn't ask me a question. I've been guilty of never going on a second date with somebody because all they do is talk about themselves the whole time and don't ask second questions. Looking back, I wouldn't have changed anything because I'm happily married. But looking back, I think if I was mentoring somebody, I wonder what it would have been like to be like, if I go on a first date with somebody and they talk about themselves the whole time, to have a conversation, because all relationships are navigating communication with people. Like, that's a big thing, to be like, I really was excited to go on a date with you. I was kind of bummed because it felt like you talked about yourself the whole time, and I didn't get to talk about myself. And so I was just wondering, is that normal? Do you, or were you just really nervous? Or even, I wonder, and this, I'm processing this right now. I haven't thought this, but in the situation of like a person who's being rude to staff, being like, I felt bummed that it seemed like you were kind of rude to the person when you were talking to them. So feel free to delete this part, Abby, what I'm about to say. Just giving a heads up to that. One time you and I went to a restaurant, and we were we were ordering food, and you were talking to the person to order food, and I get some social anxiety because I've worked in so many restaurants that the way you communicated, I was like, oh, maybe that felt a little bit rude.
Totally.
And when I talked to you about it, you were like, I had so much anxiety standing there because I felt like she was judging me for making all the changes to the food because I have so many health issues that they always get a little mad at me. So I maybe had like a wall up. And I was like, of course that makes sense.
Totally.
Like, why would I feel judgmental towards that? If I had her health issues, I would have done that. And there's that humanity of like, she wasn't being rude. What I perceived came across as rude, but it really wasn't. But I also wonder in dating how many times we red flag, asshole, rude, incompetent, selfish, only talks about themselves. How much would you go into confrontation that early on in a relationship?
Well, when I want to say something really quick to that. What you're highlighting is curiosity. And I think that goes hand in hand with what Abby was saying, because she was talking about, the first date, you don't know, first off, like you haven't had enough time with someone and being able to give time and space. So one is time and space. And the second, like you're saying, is curiosity. I think in my opinion, I think that it's never too early to be curious, especially when you're not communicating through blame or accusation. Like, hey, I noticed yesterday, I wasn't quite sure what was happening when we were at dinner.
Were you frustrated at the waiter?
Were you frustrated? I can't tell what your experience was there, or what I was experiencing with you. It felt maybe like you were frustrated or something. What was happening? And they might say, oh yeah, the guy's an idiot. I think everyone's an idiot. People are just idiots that don't. And you're like, oh, okay.
Bye.
Bye. Or they're like, I was?
Yeah.
What? How was I being rude? And they're not even aware that they came across as that. Or they give you an Abby response. It's like, I was in complete panic. I hadn't eaten all day. I needed food so bad. I actually walked away from the date feeling so much shame, thinking like, I felt like such an asshole.
Yeah.
And I bet that they thought I was an asshole for that.
Yeah.
You know, so, but curiosity, again, when it comes to blame and accusation, people are always going to be resistant, no matter how, you know, how far into the dating process you are. And
That's really good.
Yeah, I think I love what you said, both of what you said, because it's absolutely true. I think we make snap judgments really fast without understanding. And that is the tension when you're starting to get to know someone, is you really are looking for, do our core values align?
Mm-hmm.
But you also have very little information.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the times we're just making up whole stories about who somebody is based on, I mean, I can tell you how many times I've been working with clients who are like, and then he petted the dog who walked by, and I was like, he's going to be such a good dad. You know what I mean? It's like they're just taking every little thing that anyone does. And then he opened the door for the people that were walking by, and I just know that he treats everyone with respect. And I'm like, you can judge
later
them.
on you find out he's a serial killer.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying is we often are taking anything we know about them in that moment and magnifying that to be their whole personality, whether it's bad or good.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I did in dating that changed the game for me is I actually made like a list and a timeline of all the things I would have to learn about somebody in order for me to actually know what I thought about them. And I realized I couldn't figure it out in 3 months.
I love that.
Like I was like, I would want to know how they spend their money. I'm not going to ask them that on the first date. I'm not going to be like, how much money do you have in savings? How much money do you give away each month? How much I'm not going to ask them that. So that's something, I'm going to need to know them long enough to see that. What that does is that keeps me in the curious posture of like, I can't figure out if they're right or wrong for me yet. I can't figure out because I don't even have enough information.
Yeah.
And then giving a little bit of space. And this is hard because you're like, you want to be curious and you want to find out who they are. You have to give the benefit of the doubt that they're probably nervous. They're probably scared. They're probably showing up in their most triggered self. That being said, we also have to really listen to our gut because there is things that my gut knew that my brain didn't. It just knew right away, this is not a right fit.
Our body knows.
And there is things that we want to listen when our body says no. It's just, that's very complicated because sometimes our body says no because of they just look the same as our ex, but they're a completely different person.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to tease out discernment with quick judgment. And so date safe. Like if you're concerned about somebody, only do it in a date in public with people around. If you're like, I want to get to know them more, but something feels weird, then make a safety plan, but also I'm going to give them a little bit of time and space to try to get to know who they really are.
Yeah. I want to say that the first couple months of dating, in my opinion, should be just the question, do I just like being around them? Like, not can I marry them?
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, most people I don't think that way, except like religious circles.
I don't like.
Well, that might be true.
That's
I
not
know
true.
A lot of people think that
Most
way.
people are thinking
right.
whether it's marriage or long-term commitment, they're running the story out in their head. But I think it should be: do I feel like I enjoy them? Do I feel like they're enjoying me? That's as much as I know, and we're discovering each other along the way. And then I'm going to start making some more stronger assessments.
Yeah.
As I get 3 months down the road in this process.
That would lead me to a question. I have one more question on this subject. We have enough time to go into the last part of it.
Yeah.
Would be with the nuance of when you see red flags, you maybe use communication, you give it time, and you use empathy to understand that people aren't putting their best self forward always, or maybe you're getting a filter of them, or they're maybe very nervous or whatever. What would be 3? And you said one of them, do I really enjoy spending time with this person? But what would be maybe 2 other things that you're really looking for in that process? So maybe when you go back to journal, you're like, did I enjoy spending time with them? Yeah, here's why. Maybe it would be 2 other things to be looking for in the positives. And maybe what would be 3 red flags that you would keep attention to, even if you're not immediately disqualifying them, but things that are like, these would be pretty huge. Like when you guys have been married, what, 17
years,
17 years now? And so if you were to go back and do it over again, or all of a sudden, Abby dies and you're single, or Justin dies, you're single. What?
Oh, I imagine this every day.
Yeah.
I got an answer.
Looking for
I thought
another
long
guy,
and hard
huh?
about this one. Yeah.
She's actually always scared I'm going to die.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. I think, go ahead.
Do you want to do positive only first, or can I hit a red flag?
You can do both, but I'm just, maybe 3 and 3,
One red flag is that when it comes to their relationships outside of themselves, they don't have many close personal relationships. So I'm observing how they're interacting with their community. And you'll find that like this individual doesn't have any community, or the community that they do have is superficial and shallow as far as the depth of connection that's taking place. And that's saying a lot about the person. To me, that's a red flag. You don't have deep community that knows you. If I talk to your community and they don't know much about you, that's a massive red flag. You're telling me this is your friend group that you hang out with all the time, and they really don't know too much about you? That to me is a red flag.
Or like you said, they're very superficial, they're gossipy, they're assholes, and you're like, these are the people you're getting the most influence from.
Correct.
So they're going to give you the advice
for
about
this
how to interact with me.
100%.
And so if you walk into a friend group and it looks like the whole friend group feels unsafe consistently and feels like they're catty housewives from television, you're like, nah.
That's
out.
a great one.
Yeah,
that's a great one. I like that.
Yeah, that's really good. I was thinking that one red flag is very critical. I just think if they are critical of everybody else,
super judgmental,
critical,
because you unconsciously, if you're around somebody that's critical, you are bracing for when they'll criticize you.
Yeah.
And you also want to win them over, because you want, like, if you can win over somebody that's really judgmental, then you feel like you won the game. But then you're always on edge of like, when are they going to judge me the way that they're judging other people? And I think just like some like kindness or love or that kind of value system is safer to be around.
And one way I've noticed that I can discern that is how they talk about other people. Like, and do they talk about people with nuance, or do they talk about them in very black and white terms? Are they quick to make a judgment towards somebody? Are they always talking about the drama and the bad that's going on? I think that's huge.
That's one of the fastest red flags for me, is when they talk shit about everybody.
Or their ex.
Or their ex.
That's another big one too.
Yeah.
If every ex they've dated is a piece of shit, crazy, narcissistic asshole, then you're like, I'm just next on the list, because you're
100%.
taking no responsibility for how you contributed to this mess of a relationship.
Yes.
Yeah, personal
Absolutely.
ownership. Like someone who has great personal ownership when they retell stories of life, whether it's with their family, their friends, their job situations, when they share the stories and they're like, yep, and this is what I did wrong, and this is how I had to learn how to grow. I'm like, that's a massive green flag to me.
Oh my God, yeah.
Personal ownership in life.
That's what I was going to say, is a green flag is humility. That like, I want to learn, I want to grow. I may not have done that well, but I'm going to learn from it. It's kind of the opposite of defensiveness to me, because it's not, I have to be right. It's more, I can learn from this. And that, I don't know what the red flag of that would be, but it's kind of like the arrogance, or not being open to emotional health, or not being open. Like, if you're not open to growth, because whoever you're with, this is the number one thing I looked for, is I needed somebody who not only wanted to grow, would grow without me poking them to grow. Without me saying, you need to learn this, you need to do this. Like Justin on his own wanted to be the best version of himself. He was reading books, he was listening to teachings, he was growing and transforming. And if I wouldn't have married him, he would have grown and transformed without me.
Totally.
And that is like one of the number one green flags for me. And the opposite, red, would just be like somebody that is not self-aware and doesn't have the humility to want to grow.
I like that.
Guess what we just did?
What did we just do, Abby?
We created the connection cure. And I think this is the thing that I'm most excited that we've ever created for people, because it is all of the years of courses that we've made, making it available in one monthly healing membership, where you get to be connected to people who are going on the same journey as you, while getting access to all of the things that we have made: relationship glue, reclaiming you, the compassion project,
The Father series, Living Fully Alive, the Regulation Library.
Yes, we have so many things that we've created over the years. We've had over 10,000 people do our courses. We've met with over 4,000 individual clients. And now we have brought all of it together so that you could have access to all of it for less than one counseling session a month.
Yep. And what's really cool is that monthly we have live connection calls where people get together and have those connection moments, talk about what they're going through, how they're healing in their process. And that's been one of the number one things that people have said is so incredible about doing our courses is the community that they create and the healing that takes place inside of that community. I mean, we've had people find their spouses,
find their best friends, find their community, because finally there's people where they realize I'm not alone and I'm allowed to be loved right now in the messiness of my life before everything is fixed, before everything is perfect. You can belong before you have transformed. You can be loved before you're fixed in this community. And it is really rich and beautiful and healing. We're meant to heal with each other. And the whole point of why we made this is so that people could have a holistic healing pathway. We do so much with connecting to your body and actually learning how to move with your body through emotions so that things don't get buried alive in your body. The body keeps the score. We want to zero that score out. And then we have heart connection stuff where you're actually feeling empathy for yourself and others, where you're actually connecting to your own story and you're actually having time to not just learn logically about why you do what you do, but actually have new feelings towards yourself. And then we have all of the logic, the neuroscience, all of the reasons why your body and your brain do what they do so you can actually understand yourself for the first time and start to have kindness towards why your body is made to react the way it is so that you can heal. It's body, heart, and mind all together in a way that is really, really beautiful.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a really cool membership because you get to stay as long as you want or as short as you want inside of it. You're not trapped inside of it, but you have access to an incredible community and great information. And so that is coming soon. You can go to Justin and Abby, that's abi.com, and you can get on our mailing list there, and we'll let you be the first to know when we release that. But this is something we've been planning for a while now, and I'm glad we're getting to do it.
It's about to come out.
How important is it to be politically aligned with somebody to pursue them or to go on a dating journey with them?
I think this is such a sketchy question.
Very sketchy. Yeah. You might be canceled after this one.
I think that when it comes to spirituality and faith, those are two really key components that are an expression of value systems within us. And so sometimes I'm not saying it can't be done to be on different ends of the spectrum, but I think it's a lot more difficult. I think it's really overwhelming to try to overcome not just differing perspectives, but differing value systems that are usually within some of those spaces. So to me, I don't think it's a black and white, oh, you have to or you have to not. But man, I think that when you have a lot more things that you align on, it makes the relationship a lot easier. I don't want us to perfectly align. We don't perfectly align on political stuff.
Nope.
We don't perfectly align on faith stuff.
Nope.
And that's beautiful because we grow from each other as we challenge each other back and forth in these areas, but we're not like so far on the differing ends of the spectrum that it's like a nuclear war when it comes to our value systems.
Yeah, I think it depends on kind of how you view politics. So some people have very villainizing. My group is the right group. We are morally superior to the other group. The other group are villains. And both sides do that. Republicans and Democrats both feel like they're superior to the other group and can villainize. And so it depends if you have, like, I would be comfortable dating and marrying somebody from an opposite party if we both had like moderate ideas of how do we treat people who have differences of opinion than us.
Yeah.
Can I actually see value in you as a human? And like for me, I see value in both sides of the parties. I see ways that they're both trying to help humanity, and I see problems that they both have.
Yeah.
That to me feels like a realistic worldview of any system.
Mhm.
And so I feel like I could have somebody with opposing political beliefs if they had that similar core value of
Yeah.
seeing both sides' flaws, seeing both sides have value, and not villainizing each other.
And it's, go ahead.
Oh, other than that, I don't know that I could because
Yeah.
of the we're better than you idea,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to change in order for me to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
That means somebody's going to be trying to control somebody the whole time. So the
Yeah.
way that it works is if you can have
I need you to
acceptance,
change, right?
Yeah.
and if you guys can be compatible within that or not.
And people can get so stuck because there's one side of the group that's like, we'll use the president. He's the second coming. He's basically the right hand of God who's here to save America.
Right.
And everything he does is perfect. Then there's the other side that he's like,
the devil.
he's Hitler.
He's the Antichrist.
He's literally Hitler,
Uh-huh.
and he's trying to wipe out a whole group of
Yes.
people.
Yes.
And when you're living on that extreme of the spectrum,
There'd be no way to date.
there's not, and it's hard to move forward with even just friendships. And
Totally.
so yeah, that can be really tricky.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
destroys relationship.
Mhm.
Villainizing people in general.
Because
Yeah.
again, it's not the issue of the politics, it's the issue of the value system that's behind it and the approach to the value system. Like you said, ultimately, someone who has a value for nuance and for humanizing people, you can have differing perspectives, and that's fine because that core value is there. But if that's not there, then I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's the key is
Yeah.
nuance. Can they operate under nuance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you have a conversation and break down the micro details of what the specific party is talking about
Yes.
and find common ground?
Yes.
And find if you don't have common ground on a very big topic,
Uh-huh.
it might be,
I watched A Love is Blind recently, and I watched one of the individuals that was dating just berate the shit out of like one of the other people that she was dating because he didn't seemingly align with her value system. And they ended up not working out and not end up going down the aisle. And I'm like, he dodged a bullet.
yeah.
Not because they potentially had differing political beliefs, but
Mhm.
because of her approach to
Yeah.
it was so aggressive
Mhm.
and demanding and controlling and demeaning that I was like, there's no way you can do that.
Absolutely.
Well, and people are navigating the world trying to find safety through politics.
Mhm.
Right.
So it makes sense. The truth is, if you feel really safe in the world based on where your politics are, you do need somebody that is close enough to you that you can feel safe with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. So we've talked about starting to date. We've talked
Mhm.
about green flags and red flags and things to be looking for, nuances.
Wait, do you have green flags and red flags? I was wondering what your 3 would be.
I think they're very closely with you guys. One thing that I look for is people who talk positively about other individuals.
Yeah.
Yes. Behind
that's,
their backs.
that's a big one. Yeah,
Mhm.
behind their backs. Because
Mhm.
however, if you only talk negative around other people, behind other people's backs, then it's just a matter of time
Till
before
you do
you
it.
talk
Yep.
negative about me.
Mhm.
And how you process conflict with friends.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's
Yeah,
a huge
that's
one
good.
because
Mhm.
and that was a big one. Even with my current wife, my only wife. I've only been married once.
My current
The
wife.
current wife I have now is really good. No, when I was dating Emily, it was how do you process conflict with your friends?
Mhm.
Do you process conflict? Do
Mhm.
you confront? Do you have dialogue? Do you assume the best about them?
Yes, because you're going to have whoever you are dating or married to, you will have confrontation over and
Yeah.
over again.
If people aren't looking how their significant other is handling conflict outside of their relationship, then they're walking into a relationship blind.
Yes.
Because it's like that is a massive part of your relationship that you're jumping into a world with them. And if you have no idea how they operate, it's the same thing in starting a business with somebody.
Yeah.
When people ask me, should I have a business partner? Should I not? I say, how well do you handle conflict with them? Have you ever
Right.
seen them manage conflict?
Yes.
I need you to have the hard conversations with them before the business so you can have some conflict come up so you can see how they dialogue with that. Do they
Mhm.
villainize you? Can they see nuance? Can they listen to your side and listen to understand and not just make their point known?
Yeah.
So that's a massive green and red flag I look for, like if they're bad at it or they're good at it. Another one is
I just want to applaud that. I think
Thank
we
you.
didn't
Yeah.
say that one, and that feels like one of the most
Very
important
necessary. Yeah.
Yeah.
things to look for.
I look for that in friendships too.
Me too.
It's like, how well can we do this?
Yeah.
Another one is, can we have fun together? That's a big one because, once the
You have to be
infatuation,
with each other.
yeah, the infatuation, the lust, the hormones, and start to wear down. do I really enjoy spending quality time with this person? You know, do they ask good questions? You know, do they give good responses to their answers? And we have to work on that daily, you know, even as a couple, because Emily, when I come home from work, she would say, you know, how was work today? And I immediately go into a threat response because I start to think of all the bad things that happened. And I would realize when she would ask that, I'd go, it's fine. And I'd brush it off. And she'd be like, I always ask how your day's going, and you seem to get like, you know,
upset,
weird and just like avoid it. And I was like, I had to sit with it. And I thought, you know what you should ask is maybe if you asked me, was there something that happened in your day that was really cool? And I was like, that's immediately going to make my brain start to look for the good instead of when you say, how was your day? I immediately start looking for threat.
Right.
And then I get overwhelmed and don't want to talk about it. But when you say, hey, did something cool happen in your day today? What was your favorite part of today? Then my brain goes, oh, well, it was kind of cool how we handled this situation, or we talked to this buyer and it went really well, or an employee said this today and it was really cool. And I can actually tell her those good parts of the day. And so, you know, someone who asks really good questions is another one for me. But the other ones you guys mentioned about even, you know, the way they treat other people is a big one. Politically, you know, when I was on the dating journey, I would intentionally go on dates on dating apps with people who had marked liberal on their dating profile. Even though I lean more right, I wanted to go on dates with people who leaned more liberal to actually get their perspective and have good conversation. And what I noticed was maybe most of the people I went on dates with that had marked liberal, we were so closely aligned with certain things. And it wasn't because I'm super liberal. It was because they didn't want to be associated with a party that had said certain things that they really didn't agree with. And so that was really beneficial for me, because there was one person in particular.
Great example.
I was like, oh, I could probably continue going on this dating journey with you, even though until, you know, she ended up making a remark about, you know, men are stupid, men are this, men are that. And I was like, oh, that's where we separate. You know, once you go to black and white thinking and label all men as something, there's a lot of man hatred. We probably wouldn't, you know, have a lot of alignment. You know, so I'd say those are my green and red flags. Yeah,
that's really good.
Good list.
Yeah, thanks.
What was the last part?
The last part is so when you get it, so I've been married a year now, so this will be helpful for even me in this part.
Even you,
even me,
even a veteran like you,
who's a pro, you know, who should start my own dating podcast. You know, I might learn a thing or two from you guys here, but that would be, and it's a very basic question. It's a very over talked about topic, but I think you guys have a lot of nuance and good things to bring to it. But it's how to keep the spark alive, and why do we get bored in relationships? When I become attracted to another person, is that a sign that I'm no longer in love with my partner?
Definitely.
You definitely. Oh, we're all fucked. You know, and how can we continue to pursue building the excitement and the connection, the adventure and joy once we've been in a relationship for a long time? Because one thing I'd like to say is we become so addicted to like serial dating and the dopamine hit of new. And then it's like, you're not really bored in your relationship. You're just
not getting those dopamine hits all the time.
You're not getting a dopamine hit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, then how can we notice that's what it is, and to channel that energy into our significant other to build upon what we have? So every year we're not just finding someone new, going through the same cycles of euphoria and infatuation again. Wanted to hear your thoughts on those.
I do just want to comment on what you're saying. Dating can create an addiction. Maybe not even dating, even just using the apps can create an addiction in your body, because it is pulling you to get a dopamine hit, and you have the power to get dopamine hits multiple times a day. And I think what you're saying is, even just expecting that getting into a relationship after you've been dating or single for a while, to expect there's going to be a part of you that feels disappointed, and not disappointed because they're bad for you or wrong for you or not interesting or pretty or handsome enough, but because I remember, I don't know why this is, but I remember walking in Target our first year of marriage, and I was like,
where's this going?
I was thinking, every time I used to go to stores, I'd be like, oh, what could happen at this store? What guy am I going to run into? What kind of great conversation could we have? Who could I flirt with? I remember being in Target and being like, this is the most boring Target run I've ever done, because I'm not supposed to be looking for a cute guy anymore. I'm not supposed to be excited for what could happen.
Yeah.
And so I felt this disappointment of like, oh, I'm not going to get all of those. You don't even realize how many hits of dopamine you're getting as you're going through your life, and you're having those little small connection interaction points like, oh, that person just checked me out. Oh, that feels good. And so one thing I think is literally just expecting that that's part of the come down process and labeling it. I was in an addiction for getting self-esteem hits. And I actually want to grow a self-esteem that can feel good without needing strangers hits regularly.
That's so good.
That's like one thing.
And that's when you see in a lot of marriages or people who are in relationships, the stuff they post on social media, it's almost like they're still trying to get that affirmation, dopamine, accept me, love me, tell me I'm beautiful, clicks, because they're not getting it as much, or they're not getting it from so many different people. And yeah, it's like you're not bored in your relationship. You're just not getting all of the affirmation from so many different people that you were used to getting when you were single.
Yeah. And I think switching the mentality of, I actually want to be able to, like, so I think about affirmation hits is like, I need love from the outside in to make me feel like I matter.
Yeah.
And our goal would be to grow. How do I get love from the inside out that tells me that I matter? So when you're getting less affirmations there, can you actually go on the journey of engaging love and worth without those hits? Can you still feel good? Now, me and Justin have a very secure connection. This would not work in a lot of relationships, but we were able to talk through that phase. We were able to say, I remember Justin coming to me saying, I kind of miss flirting. Like, I kind of miss getting to like have those interactions. And I could ask him like, oh, does that mean you are going to go look for that? Like, I could straight up ask like, oh, does that longing mean you're going to do something about that? Is that going to lead you outside of our relationship?
Yeah.
And you were like, oh no, this is what I'm going to do with that longing. I'm just acknowledging it.
Yeah. Did you,
That's it.
That was it. Yeah. I was, my brain was in the keeping the relationship spark alive inside of that.
Oh, okay.
So I was on another page in my head. I thought it was good what you had to say. One of the things that I thought about as you were talking was like how the flame starts to go out, not because you lose interest in the person across from you, but usually because you build a case against the person across from you.
Or you get hurt.
And I was going with that. It's the self-protective energy. So when pain starts happening in a relationship, and it doesn't get resolved, doesn't get seen and heard and understood, you don't get validation and attunement inside of it, all of a sudden you start saying, this person isn't safe. And I start building accounts against them. Because if I have accounts against this person, that's how I build my false sense of safety. Because I label them as bad, so I have justification for me shutting down my heart towards them. And again, usually that fizzle or that fire, it's not that you're not interested in them anymore. You actually don't feel safe with them. And so part of the process to keep the fire going inside of the relationship is to be really good at being honest with micro truths, like having a lifestyle of saying like, oh, I could tell that impacted me. That kind of felt kind of cutting, and I can tell that I feel a little shut down after you talk to me like that. And there's this area in our life that we need to actually have some hard conversations about. Like, I know a lot of couples that are, because of their fear, they're unwilling to have the hard conversations, and they're roommates.
Yeah.
But I've seen them resurrect out of the roommate situations as they get in and they share the hard conversations. They have the vulnerable experiences of exchanging their pain, grief, passing back and forth, and them experiencing their grief. And then they find themselves on the other side being like, oh my gosh, I miss you. I miss you. And then they remember, oh yeah, this is the person that I married. The person that I married like was hidden behind all these things that were keeping me blind. And I love that person. Not only am I seeing aspects of the person that I married that I enjoyed and loved, but I'm also seeing a new person. Because if you're in a relationship long enough, you're going to be like in that relationship with 2 to 3 different people in your lifetime because of the evolution of people. So to me, there's something new to discover a whole new person. There's a whole new Abby now, 17 years in,
100%.
than the Abby I originally married. So I am constantly learning new things. And because we keep being honest about our pain and working through stuff, I don't have these walls between us. So the spark stays there because I'm like, oh, I'm not self-protecting, and I'm excited to discover all these new things that she's becoming because we're avid learners of life. We're connected to ourselves and and connected to each other.
Yeah. I was thinking kind of something that ties both your question and your answer is whenever you find yourself wanting to go get that dopamine hit, wanting to scroll to see who's liked your picture, wanting to find an attractive person or feeling attracted to somebody else, that is always a sign that you were hurt and there's an unmet need going on inside. And we very rarely look back inwards towards that. So there's this couple that I'm working with right now, and the guy started to feel like maybe I should be with the girl I was dating before this instead of the girl I'm with. And I was like, well, when did that thought come up? Because, maybe he should. I don't know. I don't have an agenda. When did that thought come up? And it was his girlfriend was really good at sharing her pain and he was really good at validating her. And one time he brought his pain to her and she got too emotional about it, couldn't handle it. And he said in his head, I can never share my stuff with you. You're not safe. Shortly after that is when he randomly started thinking about his ex-girlfriend. And this is what most people don't notice in relationships is there's almost always a fear, a hurt, a wound. Then we think, oh, we just can't be ourselves in this relationship, or I'm just not going to be able to be heard ever in this relationship, or there is a need that is not getting met. And that is when we start to look elsewhere. So I think that's one of and for me, I mean, we've talked about this before. I remember there was a situation where I started feeling drawn to this, like kind of attracted to this one guy. And so I called my best friend and I was like, hey, while I was married to Justin, I'm like, hey, I'm feeling kind of drawn to this person. And the first thing she said is like, what does he represent that you feel like you're not getting right now in your relationship? And I was like, oh, he's so chill. He would never get angry. And that was years ago when Justin and me had much more explosive anger. And so I was like, oh, my soul is saying I can't handle how intense our fights are. It's too much for me. And so I actually went to Justin and said like, hey, I can feel that there's a pain point that's really affected me. And we ended up getting into counseling in that season because of that. I allowed the attraction or the need for outside validation to point me towards what is the wound that is inside of me. And then I did something with it towards our relationship for repair. That is one of I know that's not about keeping the spark alive, but I think that that's one of the most important things to do in a relationship is to know when I find myself wondering, when I find myself attracted to someone else, when I find myself wishing I was with somebody else or thinking of my ex, what is the thing that just had happened recently that brought up pain for me?
I want to add one other one that kind of ties this all together too. I think that what we're really talking about is proactively experiencing life and engaging life versus passivity. And I think a lot of people lose the spark inside of their relationship because they end up finding themselves passive in life. Now, there's no judgment on that. That can be because, they have kids, they're overwhelmed, they've gone through losses, and there's kind of like a sense of like, I've given up, I feel hopeless. Like, again, no judgment. But when you're passive to it and life is happening to you, there's oftentimes like an internal death that manifests in a death inside of the relationship.
Yeah.
But when you're choosing to like face the grief, the difficult things, enjoy life that's set right before you, the spark that's inside of you is a spark that's inside of the relationship, right? So if I'm sparked with life and my partner's sparked with life, that in and of itself creates a spark between the two people. Wow. And so the question, oftentimes people are like, I need to get rid of the relationship. I'm like, maybe you need to learn how to come alive. And that's what a lot of my clients found inside of their own stories. They're like, I wasn't even alive to life. Of course, there wasn't anything here because I wasn't bringing anything to it. I was passive and shut down inside of myself. And that's something people can start to change right off the bat. You can't change your partner, but you can begin the process of like, am I alive? And what does it, like a question that I had early on in our marriage was, what does it look like to come alive? And that was a question that was in the back of my head for the first few years of my marriage. And that was a self-discovery that I was on that fed the relationship.
Wow.
What do you do to keep your 1-year relationship fresh?
I think right now we're in a season where we're constantly revisiting what it looks like to pursue each other. And so we had a conversation the other day where, moving back to Reading and taking over as CEO and going through all the work has been overwhelming. It's been a lot of work and demanding a lot of my time. Yeah. And I think maybe for a month or two, I got stuck in just kind of like, this is how it is. This sucks. I need some more grace to be able to focus on this. And it's the mindset that I've started to play with is almost like this, sorry if this triggers my non-religious people, but almost like an eternal mindset to where it's like there's suffering we get to experience on earth where we get to praise God now, where we'll never get the opportunity to praise him through suffering after this experience on earth is over. And there was that thought that came into my mind where I was like, I might not ever be this busy now. And I want to show up as a really good husband and pursue my wife with all of this chaos happening. And not just put it onto the back burner and say, when this is done, I'm going to be better at this. And when this is done, I'll be better at this. And so we're trying to brainstorm what that could look like and finding ways that we can show up together and do fun things. And so when we first got married, we kind of realized a lot of the things we did for fun or to decompress were very different. Because I like to surf. Surfing isn't a decompress for her. It's like an adventure that takes all of her. I will go out in the first thing in the day and surf and get trashed and be like, I feel better. It will ruin her week, if she goes out on a big day. Pickleball is very similar for me. And so when we moved to Reading, it was different because we were like, well, how do we, pursue each other and get our needs met? And one way that's actually been really cool, we both love pickleball. And so we even just talked today. We were like, let's just meet at the pickleball courts at 4 every day after work.
Cute.
And then we even talked about what does that look like for us? Does it mean we have to be on the same team? Does it mean that we can play some games together? Because we're different in skill. I'm a pickle god. And she's, she's a pickle princess. Yeah, she's learning, the way of the ball. And so, we were just good communication to make sure it wasn't like if we show up together and I go jump on, with these guys who are really good, she's going to get frustrated or vice versa, right? And I was like, what could it look like? Maybe, we play together a few games, we split up, maybe we do some drilling together. And so that was really fun to talk about because I think right now it's more like, how do we both show what makes us both excited and can we go do those things together? And so we're doing that. I love planning trips with her. That's something that's really fun. I mean, our very first date was I bought 2 portraits, colored pencils, paint, charcuterie board, and alcohol-free cider, took her to a cliff, watched the sunset, and we did self-portraits of each other. So that set the stage. I'm not that intentional every single week. But, when we first moved here, it was like, let's experience novelty together. And what does that look like? Let's go do something that we both haven't done before. That's going to spark new conversation and help us get to know each other. So I booked a pottery class. Cool. And I didn't think I would like it. I loved it. There's a great place here in Reading. I think it's called Ceramics Pottery in Reading. Hopefully I'm giving them a good plug. That we did like a date pottery class together and we loved that. And so I'm trying to find things that we can do that we've never done before.
Love that.
Kind of spark new conversation, new ways we see each other, new ways that we're exploring the world together. And that's been something that's been fun. But we're 1 year in. So we still have the novelty of lots of other things in marriage that are
true.
that we have. So
I will say this, obviously you're not here to do a plug, but I worked at the Adventure Challenge for a long time and we created conversation cards for couples and then also about sex. Conversation starters. And
those
then there's
brilliant.
Also adventures in both areas.
They
have multiple products. So you actually created something where you don't have to think of a date idea or a way to bond or a way to have fun or a way to do something you've never done before
Mhm.
because you've actually already created products that do that for you. And
Yeah.
I've seen in so many people's lives, the products work. I mean,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable.
We've-
They
we've
create
used-
connection.
We've used those cards like
The conversation cards.
the conversation cards.
The
at-
sex ones.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
at Thanksgiving dinners with the whole family.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Let's
yeah.
go. That's amazing.
Yeah, those got wild.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
No, but
That
the
was sarcastic
the-
for people who are wondering.
Yeah.
They're like, wow, they're very
Yeah,
free
yeah.
with their family.
Yeah. But we've used those other cards at like Christmas, Thanksgiving, and stuff like that, and it's just great. It doesn't.
Mhm.
It lowers the stakes. It lowers the anxiety. You don't have one person going off the rails talking about politics or something like that.
Yeah.
You're able to engage, and you're like, I learned something about so many people.
Yeah.
This is so enjoyable, and it just makes it easy.
Well,
I love them.
Sometimes people put too high stakes on what's wrong, like what's
Yeah.
going on. They get stuck in a rut and they think they need 5 counseling sessions. They need all
Totally.
this stuff. And it's like, dude, you need to go to a park and go down the slide and push each other in a swing and
Yeah.
play with sidewalk chalk. Like you need to, like
you need to have fun again.
you need
Yeah.
to, and you need to not like think and like that doesn't. That's why I do like the scratch off books, because it's like, this doesn't seem crazy. I don't even know if this would be fun. And then you do it and you're like, well, I've never done that with you before. And it kind of was
Yeah.
fun. And that got us out of our rut and made us think and talk differently. And so, yeah, just doing new things together. Like sometimes that is the answer. It's not the
Totally.
only answer. It's not going to cure everything. But I think sometimes we overthink it and get too much into like, we need to throw therapy on everything when it's like, you just need
Absolutely.
to go do something fun together.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite adventures, so people know what kinds of things it would be,
Mhm.
be where one person is blindfolded
Mhm.
and they are baking, they can use their hands to bake a pie.
Yeah.
And the other person is behind them,
guiding their hands
guiding
to
their
what to
hands
do. Yeah.
to bake the pie. So
Yeah.
you're like, it's physical contact.
Mhm.
It's hysterical. You're making a mess, kind of, but not too messy. It's not
Mhm.
extreme. And then you get to eat a good treat afterwards.
Yeah, that
That's
was
cool.
my favorite one too.
Yeah.
Is there a family edition?
Yeah, we have one for families.
And they have
Okay.
additions for everything.
We literally have an edition for every type of relationship, for
Mhm.
yourself, for you to do with your wife, to do in bed, to do with family, to do with kids. We have one to do alone, and then we just
What about to do with your other family?
Your
that-
second family.
Your second
second
family
family.
that no one knows about.
Yeah, you just buy another family book. The same things. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, you just have
So-
two families.
Asking
Family.
for a friend.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, just hide that one well. Yeah.
That's good.
Thanks for answering all my questions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like that was a really helpful and interesting conversation. And I'm excited to also hear how some of the customers and people at Adventure Challenge receive a lot of that stuff. So
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Love
That's
it.
cool. All right. Well, for those of you who don't know, you can find us at justinandabby.com. That's justinandabi.com. You can find out more about us there. And if you're not on YouTube, go to YouTube and subscribe. Hit the little bell button so you know when a new episode is out.
You can find the Adventure Challenge at theadventurechallenge.com
Mhm.
or on their social media, The Adventure Challenge.
Yeah. Cool. Cool.
Well, thanks for hanging out.
Any fun thing you want to say goodbye?
no, I think you should do it because Abby stole your intro.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
If I did, it would probably be inappropriate or weird. And, yeah.
Justin says the same thing at the end of every time.
Go away.
It's true.
Bye now.